Today on Have Chef Will Travel, we'll talk about stretching our pennies with a really versatile cut of meat, the boneless pork loin. And we're going to make some barbecue boneless pork chops. And we're going to get into it now because I'm hungry, so we need to cook.
We're going to talk about pork loin. Pork loin is a fantastic piece of meat. If you are doing meal prep at the beginning of the week, you're trying to pack all your lunches ahead of time, pork loin is awesome. It is very low in fat. The only fat on it is the fat around the outside here that you take off. It does take a little bit of patience, because you want to slide in between that fat and that silver skin and just cut that bad stuff off. Now, pound for pound, a pork loin is as good for you as a boneless, skinless chicken breast. But if you're a meal prepper, this will give you an extra option for the week. You don't have to always eat brown rice, chicken breasts, and broccoli. Pork loin is great for feeding large groups of people. It is great because, first off, it's a pretty big cut of meat. This is only a half of the pork loin. Pork loin is also really inexpensive. I picked this up on sale for $1.89 a pound. This is just over 6.5 pounds of meat. So I spent all of $12. Now, if you're not sure what pork loin is, this is basically a pork chop with the bone out. So I'm going to be making barbecue pork chops, and I'm going to cut these fairly thick, about an inch thick.
One of the reasons that this is such a cheap cut of meat, or cheaper cut of meat, is that the butcher hasn't had to cut these for you. You're going to cut them so they don't charge you for cutting them themselves. It also gives you an extra level of control. If you want to cut these super thin for breakfast pork chops, that's fine. If you want to cut them thicker to go on the grill, that's fine. If you want to roast this whole with some seasonings, that's fine. If you want to cut this, split it open, stuff it, and then roast it, you can do a bunch of different things with this cut of meat. It's really versatile.
Now this tail end this is the sirloin end of the pork loin, and it's got a little fat layer running through there. This end I really like to chop up and use for pork fried rice. And you know where to find a fried rice recipe, right? Alright, once you've got your pork chops cut, you'll be able to see how little fat there is on those. So once again, if you're on that protein brown rice and broccoli kick, this is an option for you that's, not chicken. I'm going to season that very generously with barbecue rub.
And just in case you missed it, here it is.
We start off with a teaspoon of white pepper, a teaspoon of coriander or cardamom. I'm using cardamom here. They're kind of interchangeable. They both have a lemon flavor to them, and they add a brightness to the whole rub. A tablespoon each of garlic powder, onion powder, so tablespoon of salt, tablespoon of chipotle powder, and 3 tablespoons of paprika. 1 packed cup of brown sugar. And I'm going to leave this sit at least an hour. Now, this has got a lot of sugar, some salt in it, so it's going to pull a lot of moisture out of those pork chops. But that's okay. We're going to fry these very fast. Flip them over, repeat the process. You can move these onto a sheet pan or baking dish and leave them sit until you are ready to fry.
After an hour and a half, you'll see all this liquid come off the pork chops, and normally that means you're going to have a tougher piece of meat, but we're going to fry these very rapidly, so it's not going to make that much of a difference.
Okay, so we're going to fry the pork chops. Now, you can put barbecue sauce on these afterwards if you want, but they won't need it. We'll give it just a dash of olive oil, and then about a tablespoon of bacon fat. I use the bacon fat for a few different reasons. One, I had it because I made bacon, and there's no need to let that fat go to waste. Two, it melts pretty quick, and it's a really good cooking medium. And three, bacon has a smoky flavor, and that's going to go really well with our barbecue style pork chops. Now, nothing else needs to be done to these pork chops, just that liberal dosing of that barbecue seasoning is enough. But you can feel free to bread these in flour or even panko breadcrumbs to give you an extra dose of crunch. And just like we do our steaks, just put it in the pan and walk away, leave it go, let it sear. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Okay, so 3 minutes. Ooh. Flip. Now you're going to have a little extra brown and caramelization because there's a lot of brown sugar in that barbecue rub, but that's fine. A little char, never hurt nobody. That's the flavor. We'll come back in about 3 to 4 minutes and cut one open and see if it's done.
Our mac and cheese are already on the plate. We're going to bring in these pork chops. They are beautiful. They smell heavenly. That barbecue rub really has done its work, bringing in some extra caramel color. And then we're going to top this all with some fresh coleslaw. Now, again, I'm not going to give you a recipe for a basic coleslaw. We're going to do an Asian-inspired coleslaw tomorrow, so make sure to check in with us for that recipe. We're also going to show you a couple extra things you can do with that. But with the addition of a simple Parmesan crisp on the mac and cheese, you really elevate this plate, not just in terms of looks, but in height. You actually notice this walking across the room at you. And with the addition of that really bright coleslaw, you really don't have to do too much else to dress this plate up. It's ready to go just as it is. So that's it for today, guys. You know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, hit that bell icon for further notifications, and check us out on our other platforms. And stick around for a really short commercial.